So you want to set up bands, you want to squat with bands, but you don't know how. And today, I'm going to show you how to set up bands the pro way and a way that I used to have to do in college when I didn't have all the equipment. So let's see how to set up bands. Okay, so if you're using bands and you're at the pro level, you're probably going to have a monolith. A monolith is a piece of machinery that allows you to use a squat bar and not have to walk it out because the machine gets out of your way. Now, if you have this machine, then you need to know how to set up bands on it. The trick is you want to loop it around the bottom end of the frame, but you want to have the outside of the band to the frame going up towards the bar. So that means the inside loop gets attached and then the outside loop goes up towards the bar. You want this thing choked all the way down to the frame. This gives you optimal band tension. As you can see, only a few feet off the floor, we already have band tension. The trick with bands is that we want none of this. You don't want to be able to ever see the band not having tension. Bands need tension on the bar all the time. Let me repeat that. Bands need tension on the bar all the time. I don't know how many times I get on the internet and I see guys setting up bands and their bands are flimsy. That means that the tension is not correct and you're not going to have near the transfer that you want to your lifts with straight weights. So when you set up your bands, make sure they're going around something pretty fat to where when they're at the very bottom of a squat, which is probably going to be somewhere in this area, there's still tension on the actual band. If you don't do that, you're not going to get the results that you want. The next thing you want is to make sure that the band is completely vertical. So when I put this band on the bar, you're going to notice that the band is straight up and straight down. There is no angle to the band. This is the advantage with training in a monolith for band training, meaning that we don't have to walk the weight out. So this is right where we're going to squat. So it's vertical. Now I'm going to show you the other way to set it up, but this is the way that you want to set up if you have all the perfect equipment. Now, why bands are important and some background information. I truly believe that I would have never gotten to the world record raw or equipped squats that I was able to achieve without band tension for multiple reasons. One, band tension can be measured in pounds, but really what it is, it's the elasticity. And the elasticity makes the weight actually accelerate on the eccentric phase. When that happens, the ligaments and tendons, as the Golgi tendons, have to work almost double time. That means that this band wants to throw this weight down to the floor in an accelerative state. That means when you put regular weights back on the bar, they only want to fall at the level of gravity, meaning 9.81 meters per second is how fast they want to fall. If you hook this bar onto this band, now it weighs 55, but it's also getting slung down to the floor through elastic energy, which makes the ligaments, tendons, and muscles have a completely different environment. So with all the science mumbo jumbo out of band training, bands are required because they're just different. They make the muscles have to guess a completely different environment, therefore making you insanely strong. Not only was I strong with band squatting, but almost everyone I ever trained with that had world records, adding them up, well over 30, 40 squat world records in one group. And all of us were very good at bands, and I believe that the band tension is what got us there. But as you can see, the band is vertical and the band is choked. So what we would do is once we pull it onto the bar, we take this, we pull it all the way down to the bottom of the monolith, and now our band tension is correct. So with this band, this orange band from Elite FTS, you're talking at about 100 extra pounds at the top and 50 extra pounds at the bottom, which is going to equate a good band for, if you're maxing, probably somewhere between a 250 to 400 pound squatter, and if you're doing speed work, probably in the range of a 300 to 400 pound squatter. This would be optimal band tension for speed. So as you can see, there are percentages changed for that. We're going to go over that on the Patreon channel at some point. But remember, if anything else, that band tension needs to be vertical when you're squatting, and it needs to be choked. That way you know exactly how much band tension you have, and also make sure that the band adjusts itself correctly to the bar. So maybe we don't have all this fancy monolith and fancy equipment. How do we set up bands? Well, next I'm going to show you on that. So maybe I don't have a fancy monolith to make the bar or the bar path with the bands linear. How do I fix that? Well, one, you're not going to be able to fix it until you walk it out. But two, how you would fix it was you would tie bands up of this nature. You could do it with dumbbells. I think that this situation works a lot better because it pulls the band all the way to the floor. We get the band and we get it pretty even through the plate, right? And then what we do is we take the 45, stand it up on its side. Okay? Once we do that, we take the band through this piece here, like so. Fold it over, pull it through one end. Now you're gonna see that this band is gonna wanna stay around the plate like this, like so. Okay, we try to get that about as even as possible. Now we got one edge through this. Now, if you're using a really strong band, that 45 is gonna get picked up. So what you would do, depending on the size of the band, this isn't that big, we would take another 25 or 45, as so, and we just take it through the other end again. Now, we have a portable way to take the band and put it on whatever we want. So what we would do is scoot this over and get it lined up about where we want to squat, which is going to be about right in line with this second hole, right in the middle, okay? Right here. And then we're going to hook it to the bar. Now, we got a way to set up a band almost anywhere that's super solid and super lit. So now what he's going to do is he's going to crawl under the bar. Now the hard part is as you can see, the bands aren't linear anymore. So now the problem is we have to walk this squat out, which is a common issue for everybody. But with bands, it makes it more tedious. You need to walk out a little more careful, and you're just going to walk it out till the bands are vertical, which usually means this is going to be lined up with about the heel. Now, as you can see, his bands are vertical, straight up and down, and now he's ready to squat with band tension, and he can do this anywhere. Just need plates and a bar, rack. Good. So today we went over how to set up the bands properly because we see it a lot. It's just not done correctly. I showed you how to do it with a monolith, which is a luxury in a lot of gyms, but you also saw how I did it in college when I didn't have a monolith and all I had was a squat rack. The trick is that when you're walking out with the band set up in a normal rack, they're not going to be straight up and down. They're going to be straight up and down when you squat. So make sure that wherever you set your feet, try to line up the bands to about your ankles so that way that the band is vertical when you actually perform the squat, because it will not be vertical in the rack. So take the bands, loop them through the plates, and stack them as high as you need to hold the bands down. A silver band or a blue band, a strong band, is going to take probably 3, maybe 4 45s. It takes a little bit to set up, but I think it's the best way to set up versus going around dumbbells where the band tension is going to be a little bit higher off the ground, therefore making it not as calculatable and not as strong. The band tension set up in the way I showed you is going to have a lot of transfer and give you a lot of strength, not only at the top but at the bottom. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about training smart while aging, and I didn't think there was any better person to talk to than Stan Efferding. But when I train, I feel neurologically fatigued when I'm done with the workout, but if I had to, I could do that workout the next day.
Tried some of this earlier and it's absolutely crazy delicious. Yep. And this is a meal that I'll cook up in the morning, takes, while I'm preparing the kids for school, and then I'll make a couple extras.
You're still going to be really strong when you're 65. Not only learning how to stay strong, but get insanely healthy at the same time.